two focuses in my research. I mean, I'm a professor of experimental phonetics, so I'm really interested in the experimental or instrumental investigation of speech production generally. And I do that often with a view to clinical applications, because our department at City University is a speech and language therapy department. So we educate speech and language therapists, and it's obviously always very nice to be able to provide research-based teaching for students. So that's one of my focuses. And another, I mean, probably more fundamental focus is that I'm just generally interested in speech sounds in the world. So just the investigation of what kind of speech sounds do you find in which areas of the world, and also trying to understand, are there any reasons for the fact that certain languages do have specific speech sounds that other languages don't have. For example, I think the fricatives in languages like French and English. I mean, both languages have fricatives like se and she that are obviously very productive in the phonological system of those languages. Well, I mean, if you look at this in a world perspective, most languages have fricatives, except, remarkably, indigenous languages of Australia, for example. I mean, there are 260 or so of those languages, and none of these languages have any fricatives. And that's quite remarkable, because that's a very unique position that they occupy. And, I'm really interested in understanding or learning about why, what are the reasons for those languages not having any fricatives. I'm not giving an answer now, but, that is my passion, let's say. In the first lecture, focused on intrinsic vowel pitch, which is basically the tone of high vowels like E and U in languages. That tone is generally a little bit higher than in open vowels like R. And, that has been attested in a wide variety of languages. So that seems to be something, a language universal, something that people have little control over. It seems to be an automatic phenomenon that is determined by the connection between the larynx and the vocal folds and the tongue as an articulator. So that is often given as a reason for why that is the case. But nevertheless, I mean, increasingly, and those are small differences. I mean, we're talking about something like 10 to maybe 20 hertz differences in tones. But increasingly, there is an understanding that these small differences can actually be learned by speakers in languages, so that they can gain control over these very small tonal differences and use them for communicative purposes. And that's particularly useful in languages with a large number of vowels like French or like Dutch or English. And then I've done 2 lectures on foreign accent syndrome, which is sort of, in a way, bringing a clinical phenomenon back to Paris, because it was described for the first time in Paris not that long ago, 1907, by a French neurologist, Pierre Marie, who in fact had a patient that suffered a stroke, and in recovering from the stroke developed, had lost his Parisian French accent and started speaking with an accent from the Alsace region. So that's really what foreign accent syndrome is about. Neurological damage, stroke very often, but a variety of impairments that can affect speech. And then, the development of an accent change that is heard as foreign by, members of the same speech community. So that's what we focused a bit on, on the history of the phenomenon, on the phonetic characteristics of those speakers, and also the clinical implications of it. A third topic that we discussed quite extensively were asymmetries in articulation. So in speaking, the tongue is really the most important articulator. And we've done quite a bit of research and noticed that when the tongue contacts the palate, so the roof of the mouth in speech, that contact is very often asymmetrical contact. So meaning that the side-to-side contact is somewhat different. Maybe a bit more contact on the left, in fact, on the left-hand side than on the right-hand side. And I presented recordings that we have done on 20 speakers of English, trying to find if there are any consistencies in that. And it turns to be out quite consistent, so that many speakers in fact have more contact on the left-hand side. And that could serve, and really philosophized a bit about whether that could serve a communicative purpose as well. Because if you have a lot of left side contact in articulation, the airflow is directed towards the right of the speaker's mouth, in fact, and it has been shown that the right-hand side, the lips are more open than on the left-hand side. So it looks as if lip action and tongue action here go hand in hand to articulate speech, and again, to optimize speech quality. It was actually very exciting to be in Paris for not only the talks but also the personal contacts. That was very interesting to meet researchers that I know by name from publications, but it's obviously for conferences where you have superficial contacts, but it's obviously very exciting to be in those labs of excellence for a bit of time, so that you can discuss things, and there is time to discuss scientific issues, and also develop research collaborations, and I think that's going to be one of the important aspects of this particular chair that I had, so that we intend really to work together in the future on data that I have collected, but that I do not have the how shall I say, the manpower or person power to actually process. So it will be really, and especially also because the research aims of that project are quite similar as the research that is carried out at Sorbonne Nouvelle, for example. So that's going to be very, very positive and very exciting, I think, also. And then obviously just being able to stay in Paris for a while, if you're allowed to say this, is just fantastic, because Paris is just such a fantastic town in terms of culture, in terms of entertainment. It's really beautiful.